Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show on the 8th of February, 2022. The Joe and Joe Weather Show brought to you by, as it is every night, proudly by Omni True Value Hardware, your go-to place for when the next winter weather event arrives so you could replenish your salt supply. They got tons of rock salt. Also, everything else you might need in case your equipment is not working very well. This is what it looks like on the outside at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, on Long Island, serving the entire tri-state area with the lowest prices around. They still have snow blowers, shovels, spreaders, mag ice pellets and flakes, and Pelado, and all the standard snow melt products, those very good ones I mentioned, and of course an almost endless supply of rock salt at the lowest prices anywhere. So head over to Omni, folks. 631-756-1125 is the phone number. And as Joe Rayo does it so well, the website is
OmniTrueValue.com.
So, Mr. Rayo, how are you today?
We were talking about commercials before we signed on here. And for whatever reason, you know what popped up in my head? Remember when the Beverly Hillbillies were sponsored by Winston cigarettes?
Yeah, there's it's on YouTube somewhere. Yeah, Irene
And
Ryan was a heavy smoker.
and she also was the one who they changed the catchphrase. Of course, remember it was Winston tastes good like a cigarette should. But when they did the commercials for the Beverly Hillbillies, it was Granny who said, "Don't forget, Jed, Winston tastes good like a cigarette had oughta."
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know
exactly.
why I thought about that, but there you go. And happy Tuesday to you all.
Every once in a while, those sorts of things happen to me. Uh, Tomorrow, I when I was sick and in and out of the hospital, the second time I had a dentist appointment, I had to cancel it, and I couldn't remember whether I rescheduled it or not. So it turned out I didn't reschedule it. So I called them today, and they said, "Can you come at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning?" Which is fine. They were giving the horse was giving birth, was supposed to give birth and gave birth a day early, so they're gonna take me in tomorrow for a power washing and then of my teeth. So I'm gonna be going to Pixley
Oh,
tomorrow.
okay. Down, 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 down,
Downtown.
down.
Correct.
Now, you think we'd be able to fill a half an hour, Joe, considering that the weather is really El Bordo?
Well, we sure as heck gonna try. We might go a little bit more. We could. I got some long range thoughts that I want to express, as you know I'm going to. But yeah, look at this U.S. map tonight. I mean, it's just about as clear of watches and warnings as you can be, unless you're in Maine, because there's breaking news in Maine, Joe. It's snowing in the northern half of the state. I mean, really.
Yes.
And you've got some wind issues in the Dakotas and some red flag issues in eastern Nebraska and central Kansas. And you've got a couple of counties in northwest Montana with high wind warnings. And I don't know, something's going on in Southern California there too. Not sure what that is. Is that a? Hold on a second. I'm curious now about this one. Let's see. What is it? They have. Ooh, a heat advisory. Look at this. They got this big
That's right.
post.
I did hear that they were going to see some unusually warm temperatures in the days to come. So,
Yes,
yeah,
as you
there you
as
go.
you as you can see on the screen there, on the Weather Service page out of SGX, I guess that's what they call Los Angeles these days. Heat advisory from 11 p.m. Wednesday through 6 p.m. Sunday. Unseasonably hot. Orange County and the Inland Empire, whatever that is. Sounds like the name of a movie. 86 to 91. Visitors from cold weather states not acclimated to the heat may be at higher risk for heat related illness, Joe. Avoid strenuous outdoor activities. Drink plenty of water and look before you lock. I'm not getting that
Well,
last
you know
part.
what that means.
No.
You don't want to leave either a pet or
Oh,
a young child
oh yeah, yeah.
in the car.
Oh, okay. Yeah, oh,
Make sure that
absolutely.
before you lock up, you don't leave anybody
Oh,
who
absolutely.
could die of yeah
Yeah,
yeah.
I know that's
And
really
that's
that really is
I'm amazed though I'm amazed so early. I mean, it's in February, but I guess it can
well,
happen. It's happening now out there.
they got a big ridge building in the west, so and we've got troughing in the east, which we'll talk about shortly. But let's do the current weather because God, we'll be able to go through this quickly. Uh, got that conveyor belt of moisture from the southwest Gulf to the northeast Gulf, and then running up the east coast with the cloud line somewhere in southern Virginia, and then that continues out to the northeast. A pretty nice day in eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England down to northeast Virginia, and of course in Maine they're still getting the back edge of yesterday's and last night's storm system, which came wound up coming a lot further west, and that's been the signature this winter, Joe. These systems that have been developing, some of them have been going offshore, but we've had our fair share of systems that have gone further west, and I'm thinking that's one thing that's one of a couple of things that probably have to bear in mind when it comes to later this weekend, Sunday into Monday, because we are going to have an offshore system, and it's probably going to be closer than what models are indicating. And even the GFS late this afternoon got some snow up to southern New England and the lower Hudson Valley on the order of up a few inches, and even a little bit more as you head further south down into southern New Jersey and
Now
Delaware.
you're talking about the 18. You're talking about the 18Z run.
Yes, but and I know how you feel about the off runs, but the bottom line is if you looked at the day runs and the night runs from the main runs, they've been so horribly inconsistent that all this 18Z run is really showing you is another possibility in a long line of possibilities that exist for later in the weekend. I've been saying for days that if it was on the guidance today, I would start to get interested. Well, I'm going to just kind of put a little uh, qualifier to that. I'm slightly interested, and the reason why I'm slight
Okay.
right, the reason why I'm slightly interested, as opposed to not being completely interested, is the fact that uh, all the models on various runs are going in all different directions because, as we know, there are a ton of puzzle pieces in play, and they're all keying on a different thing each time. The speed of one is faster, it's slower, it's more intense, it's not intense. So I'm going to give it another day. If we start to see a little bit of, we start to see at least, I would like to see at least a couple of them come do the same thing at the same time. I was looking at the 12C run today, and all of them were doing different things. So I'm a little bit interested because they keep occasionally throwing one of the possibilities that Mrs. Ann Samble would show on the Ann Sambles, uh, but uh, but I'm not going to go beyond that at this point. And the radar at the moment is give it a quick refresh to see what's going on across the U.S. And of course, you see the precip that's up in Maine. Round and round the circle of death goes, and where it stops, nobody knows. There's showers over Florida. There's some snow showers in upstate New York. There's some snow showers in the Western Lakes. There's some precip in southwestern Washington. And that really is just about it as far as precip goes. The rest of the country is bone dry. Had a beautiful day today. Managed to make it out of make it to the upper 40s after being down in the mid 20s this morning. So that was a good thing.
Yeah, today was more like a day in late February as opposed to early February. I mean, it was not spectacular. It didn't remind anybody of spring, but the fact that it was even just a little bit milder than it's been in recent days. And I pointed out, Joe, on my forecast for the lower Hudson Valley, that on Saturday, now yesterday I went 50. For today, I'm going
Oh,
for
going
Saturday
up.
52.
Yeah, going up.
52. And I said in that forecast that if we get to 52 on Saturday, that will be the warmest day that we have had here since New Year's Day, January the 1st. We hit 52, at least at Shrub Oak, which is a stone's throw away to my south. And so that means that we have not had a day quite like that in over 6 weeks of where I am. And so it'll be lovely if we do manage to get to the lower 50s on Saturday, even 250. Now I understand that New York a few days ago got into the mid and upper 50. That's what they did. Up
Right.
here where I am, it never really got that warm. So it'd be nice to see. And yeah, it looks like that's going to be the story, or at least the possible story for Saturday before the next swath of frigidity comes our way. We could see as much as a 20-degree difference between Saturday and Sunday, I think, with Sunday being a day of partial sunshine. And then, of course, we have the disclaimer as to whether or not we do get that offshore system, which may throw some white stuff our way, perhaps later in the weekend or for the start of next week.
Right. And I put this up on my weather. I did a long range post about this and talked about it on my weather platform on Patreon, which you could join at patreon.com/meteorologist Joe Chaffee. My turn for a shameless self promotion. But and I was trying to find a couple of long range pieces that I wrote back uh, going into the January 28th, 29th winter storm, and unfortunately, I was not able to, this, I put posts so much that it was hard to. I found one, and then I couldn't get the picture to open up full screen for some reason. But if you think back to that and you look at what's going on now, there is an eerie similarity to the upper flow, and we talked about that. We sequenced the pattern that we've been in this winter, and we are in that quiet period that we had before the big storm, and we're seeing these weather systems coming out of the Northeast Gulf and then running up the East Coast. And yesterday's came west. There'll be a couple of more going out to the southeast of us over the next couple of days. And then this is really, Joe, the setup is almost the same. So the thing that may be different this time is the puzzle pieces may wind up not acting exactly the same way when they reach the East Coast. You might get a different outcome because we don't know yet which of these pieces are going to be more important, because we're talking about, this is the map for Saturday evening, and the Arctic boundary will be moving through at that point. And we talked about yesterday, Joe. We talked about when this front was going to come by. Was it going to come by Friday night, or was it going to come by Saturday? If it was going to be a more suppressed look, it would have come through Friday night. But now it's being delayed by a day, so you see the upper trough is fairly well defined. So it's going to be a question of which one or multiple pieces are going to act differently from what we saw the last time. And this is why I think you're seeing these squirrely model runs, because every one of them is keying on something different. There's a short wave there up near Great Slave Lake. That's going to be a player. You've got one in the Western Lakes and one down in Texas. Those are going to be players. And also the one in Eastern Canada is going to be a very important player. So that's why I'm kind of deferring for another day here, because there's just too much going on, and there's no rhyme or reason to what the models are doing from run to run. So I'm expecting things to go differently when the next cycle starts in about an hour, in a couple of hours, when the globals start coming out, and we'll see
I think we'll
see where that
I think
takes us.
we'll have more we'll have more certainty or surety to all of this, I'm sure, by Thursday and especially Friday. Hopefully by then, all the puzzle pieces will be coming together a lot better than they are right now. In other words, we got one model saying one thing, another model saying another, but hopefully they'll all end up on the same page. Of course, that's not going to happen, but hopefully there'll be more that'll be on the same page when we get to later on in the week, and then we'll be able to pull the whistle string and scare everybody who has
Right.
a Super Bowl party scheduled for Sunday.
Exactly. So let's run through a couple of models, and I'll show you the squirreliness of it. So here's the GFS. This is the 18Z GFS, and there's your low. By the way, this is on tomorrow. There's a low that forms off the Florida coast and heads out to the east northeast. This is the winter where these lows are forming off the Florida coast, Joe. It's amazing that they're forming that far south. Then that goes out, and then you can see there's still little weak waves that are forming on over the weekend on Saturday. There's that area of rain there east of the Bahamas, and that goes out with a weak little low. Not that different from what we had. Now, what's interesting to me, if you think back to when we were going into this, into the 28th, 29th storm. Remember that we had this Arctic front that was coming down. Here it is on Saturday. It comes through. This is eight. This is at 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon. It's right on top of us, and then it stalls out to the south, down into the northeast Gulf. And remember on Friday, before we got into the snow from the developing low, we had this sort of renegade snow that developed on the Arctic front. Well, there it is again. You've got a cold high sitting up to the north and not pretty much in the same spot. You've got a cold northeast or northeast flow off the water, and I think that's helping to generate some snows. The snow that you see there on the GFS. I'm not predicting this yet. I'm just telling you
Right.
what the GFS
Right.
says. But that's the same, okay? And there's your low off the Florida coast again. Moving on up. Now, because the GFS and the other models have a suppressed look, the low is out, goes to about 36 and 69. But because of what's going on overhead with the flow off the water, and we've got a little bit of a jet streak that's moving through, it generates a couple of inches of snow out of it, and then it goes on its merry way. Now, we were kind of in the same place 5 or 6 days before the last one. Now here's the 12Z, just for comparison's sake, and we'll take a look at where the 12Z had it. And the 12Z brought it a little closer from the overnight run, but mainly offshore. Never, did the same thing with the Arctic front stuff on Sunday. And then the main stuff goes out to the northeast because it's a more progressive type system. And by the way, if you look back, the reason why it's more progressive, there's a weak low right here that's dropping southeast from that short wave that I showed you up in Western Canada near Great Slave Lake. That's dropping down behind it, so it's sort of acting as a kicker and preventing this system from continuing to lift northward. We had the same problem trying to analyze the prior storm. That that we had this follow-up shortwave that was coming up. Um, that was coming up, and
Yeah.
it's identical. Now let's look at the icon, because the icon today showed another possibility. And again, squirrely.
I rarely ever look at the icon, and I almost forget that it's there sometimes. But
Same here.
yeah.
Same here. I looked at it today specifically because when we get into stormy situations, I look at the icon because sometimes the European and the icon are in lockstep, and or sometimes the icon will show something and then the next run of the European will show something very similar. So I was just trying to pull some clues. And the icon actually is interesting. The Arctic boundary is actually a little bit further to the north on the icon on the 12Z run, and it actually took the low up to, it's a 992 low at 38 and almost 39, almost 40 and 7, no 39 and 70, and you can see the snow that's on the backside. And it wraps up into a nice little storm when it gets east of Cape Cod at 976, and from central New Jersey north and east, it basically gave 6 inches plus and brought even heavier snows to parts of southeastern New England. It's like, okay, well, and if you look at the dashed blue lines, folks, you can see the thickness lines. You've got the upper trough here going negative right there. And so it lifts up. So, of course, naturally, what do you see on the next run for the same time period? As it loads, you'll see nothing. You go from a 976 bomb to a 1014 low? A 1014 flattish wave that goes out well to the south and east, and we get next to nothing. So, and then the other models kind of are doing the same thing with that sort of flip, that going back and forth, all these different solutions from run to run. There's absolutely no consistency. So there's too many possible outcomes on the table still, and I'm not ready to, I'm not ready to say no, but I'm not ready to say yes either.
No, I mean, it's still a fair distance away. Why make a judgment call? Why make a decision now? just hold on to your hat for another 24 to 48 hours, and things I think will come more into play or more into focus. And who knows, in 2 days, we might actually be seeing the models saying that it'll be a storm off of the Outer Banks of North Carolina, heading northeastward, and maybe even heading for the famous box of spar,
Yeah,
or the
exactly.
spar
The spar
box, or
box.
whatever.
Now,
Yeah.
I'll show you the upper air on the GFS. Really, I maybe if I paid attention more in past years, and I always notice that there's always that repeating part of the pattern, but it is really interesting how it has repeated the way it has in the last almost 6 weeks. It's almost like xeroxing the pattern and just moving it along. But here we go on the GFS from late this afternoon, and you can see we got all this troughing coming through at the end of the week, and this is the main system that's dropping down. It starts to looks like it's going to phase, but right in here is right in here. Whoops, let's get that. Clean this up. So right there is that great slave that the shortwave coming down from out of Canada that gets in the way in a sense of the lead system, and it doesn't it starts to lift up and goes negative, but it doesn't when it's way out. So we were in exactly the same place. Pretty much when we were at back in January 28th, 29th. Chances are it's not going to come out the same way, but it might come out in a different way this time around. We'll just have to see how these players show up. I mean, I could show you all the models, but you get the idea here. There's very little continuity in what's happening. Oh, and by the way, if you follow the pattern,
Yes.
by the way, if you follow the pattern, okay, so after the that storm or non-storm, whatever it may be, uh, the next thing should be a front, an Arctic boundary with precip with it, just like we had last Thursday and Friday. And I looked at this a little while ago, and if we go a little further in the long range for next week, so here we go on Tuesday, and it looks like there'll be actually a fairly decent warm up late next week. So whatever falls this weekend will get melted away. Southwest flow ahead of it, which is what we had when we were approaching the frontal system from last Thursday. And what does this have on today's run on the GFS? It has a slowing Arctic boundary approaching us with rain that turns over to ice and snow at the end of next week.
I saw that.
And you can
I
see
saw
there's
that.
another.
But then I looked at it and I said, yeah, okay.
No. But
like it. Yeah.
but the fact that it's that same repetition, it's the same thing. What we just went through, it's the same thing. It's amazing that it's doing this. Now, granted, this is going to change. This is day 9, but still, that it shows it like this, it tells you that at least it's one of the possibilities. Let's look at Mrs. Ann Sambles just to see what she's up to with the weekend. And we'll load this up.
If I don't like Mrs. Ann Sambles, maybe we can go to Betty Crocker.
Yes. Does she have a model?
I don't know. No, she has Pop and Fresh.
That's right. Yes. Okay, so back to Mrs.
No, that's Pillsbury. That's Mrs. Pillsbury. Sorry about that.
Mrs. Ann Sambles. I'm rolling back. I don't expect too much. I'm probably thinking it's going to have most of the members offshore, which it does. So this is Sunday morning. You got a bunch of lows there east of the North Carolina coast. You got a few renegade waves up in the box. They're all fairly weak. And you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members, including a 968 low, a 965 low, east of the North Carolina coast. So you got, let's see, at 36 and 73. This one's at 37 and roughly 37 and 37.2 and 70, almost 72. Another one that's at 37 and a half, 37.7 and 72. And then another one at 38.6 and 71.6. and another member at 38.4 and 73.9. So you got five. You got at least four members of the GFS ensemble in the box. Interesting. Uh, doesn't really help you in the forecast unless you want to just use averages, but it's there. So
Out of how many? 21?
4 out of
21
21.
members for the GFS? Yeah. All
Uh,
right.
so that pretty much sums it up. I mean, I'm not, you know, I'm Switzerland right now, so we'll leave it at that. Hold on, I got a message from Bill Goodman here, and he says upper jet could, and he makes a good argument, by the way, Joe. Going back to the whole thing of these storms that have been trying to um, shift to the west, that we've seen them go west as we've gotten closer. So I think that's something we should pay attention to in this, and obviously we will. But he says upper jet could end up in a good position to deliver some light snow, maybe an inch or two in spots. Canadian likes the idea best. The icon. This was from earlier today. The icon
Yeah.
cranks too much out of it, which it did, and then he says the 18Z GFS likes the idea too. So you kind of sort of have the Canadian and the GFS on the same page, but that's not enough for me. I need I need more.
You want more?
Um,
More? You're still not satisfied. Ah.
no, I'm never satisfied. So that's it. That pretty much sums it up. Oh, by the way, I just got a message that my weather app, which if you've watched yesterday, my website, and there might have been a little confusion here. I did not personally get hacked. Okay, my computer's fine. I was able, it was I've never been hacked. My computer's fine, no issues. This was my website that got hacked, and my website, well, it didn't even get hacked really. It got attacked. Okay, there's a difference. So if you're not familiar with this, I'm sure you've seen the news stuff with some of these attacks where they actually do get in, but you got these bots that just kind of flood your websites with login and password, just trying to break in, and I had hundreds of bots coming at me. So we actually had to literally the security plugin that I use, literally has to pick them off one at a time. So now we're down to just like a precious handful that are still trying. But eventually they get to a point where they're locked out and they are locked out for a long period of time. So hopefully there's I think three left that are still trying. So so they have to wait 12 hours to try again. So uh, anyhow, the bottom line is that the weather app has been working except for the home page and the video page on the weather app. So if you use the drop down menu, you can get to all the other pages. And the app is free, by the way, if you go to Google Play or on the App Store. And I just got a message that it's supposed to be starting to work now, which it's not. I may have to do something on my end to get it going. So anyway, it's supposedly the folks that are working on it saying that it should be starting up. So we'll keep our fingers crossed if that's the case. Then we'll see. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. So anyhow, I guess I have Briller Jeopardy for today.
Yes, I think you do.
Yeah. This is one of those rare shows that we really don't have that much weather going on. So
And you could tell by the number of people. We only have about, on my list right here, we have 154 people, which is about the lowest number that we've had in at least a few weeks.
oh yeah,
So,
oh yeah. Well,
so,
everybody's a little weary,
so
which is understandable. Okay, so this is a Central Park one, Joe. So you got a 5-degree error, and the records at Central Park, starting with the highest and lowest temperature ever at the park in the month of
well,
February.
I know the lowest. I know the lowest was February the 9th, 1934. That was the 15 below zero. And as far as the highest, I think that was we had back in the either late 80s or early 90s. There was one day where The temperature got to like 70 or 71
No, you're
degrees.
forgetting. You are
Uh,
forgetting, Joe. We worked this, and it had an incredible
and
outcome
at
the
the day
next
after,
day.
the day after was the blizzard.
Correct. That was well, you have to guess the year.
Well, it had to be. I think it was 20. Was it 2017 or 2018?
2018,
20
and the high
2018.
was 78.
78
Right. And the
degrees.
New York and
Wow.
New and at least in New York City anyway, their snowfall the next day was 9.3 inches, and it was the highest snowfall ever recorded after the highest temperature ever recorded. So,
Right. Right.
it also, because I remember the next morning when it started snowing, the temperature was at 19. So all the warm so
And how
so all the warm ground
I've got
theorists followers were jumping off the
I was
cliff.
you beat me to it. I said, but Joe, the warm ground.
Yes, the
It didn't work,
warm
did it?
ground. Yes, the warm ground. What was the most snow ever to fall in Central Park for the entire month?
Oh, we had that fairly recently too, didn't we? I think it was something ridiculous, like in 2012 or 2014. There was something like 32 inches of snow that fell in a single month in February in Central Park, the
36
all-time record.
36.9 in 2010.
Yeah,
What was the biggest snowstorm in
I
February in the park within 5 inches?
I think it was what? Was it the blizzard of 78?
No,
17.7 inches or no?
no.
We had one that was 19, didn't we?
Well, this is in the month of February, so just to clarify.
This is a one-day total.
It's a storm total.
Storm
So
total.
it could have occurred over 2 days.
Uh was it possible that we went over 20 inches in February of one year?
Oh yeah.
It might, yeah, it might very well, because there were so many of these ridiculously high snowfalls that we had in the past decade, and they're just melding into one big lump here. I'll say 21 inches. I don't. What year? 19. You can see what I'm doing, folks. 20 in 2013.
February 11th, 11th and 12th, 2006, 26.9.
And that wasn't even the record. They set the record in 2016 with 27 and a half, right?
Right.
27.5. That was in January of 2016. So yeah,
What was the only
it's
winter?
hard, you
Yeah,
know.
it is. What was the only winter in Central Park since 1869 not to have any measurable snow in that winter? And it happened in the last 25 years, by the way.
Wow. I know in 1890, for example, in January they went the entire month without a flake, but in February, in the last 25 years. Well, how about the last 25 years?
So
Was it?
since the
No, it wasn't.
blizzard
No, no,
since the
no, it
blizzard of
wasn't February of
96.
1990. Um, I don't know. Was it February of 97?
It
Something
it
like right after the
it was in the winter of 1997-98, so it was February of 98. Trace.
98
Right.
The El Nino winter.
Right.
Yes.
How many days does Central Park have average measurable snow in February?
I don't understand the question. How many days?
How many days on average? How many days does measurable snow fall in the month of February? On
Oh, oh, I will. I'll say 18.
18. It's not the Great Lakes, Joe. Only 3.
Wait a minute. You mean on average in February we only have 3? Well, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
I was thinking about
Now
something
I
something
don't
completely
know.
different. I was thinking about
I'm assuming measurable means point 0.1 or more, but it might mean an inch or more. But
yeah.
I know that the average number of 1-inch events in New York City in the month of February is 2. So Maybe now it's 3. It could be.
I don't
Uh,
know what I was thinking of. I think I was thinking of something totally different. I think,
the
or I
coldest,
just didn't understand the question correctly.
the coldest day within 5
Well, we
degrees.
just said that, right?
No, the coldest
The
day, I
coldest
think
day
in
was.
terms of the average, I suppose.
Oh, well,
I don't know what the high was that day with
oh, the
minus
average.
15, by the way. But I would
Yeah,
think,
one has to wonder
you know
whether or
what,
not
this
we get
question,
about a zero or
I'm
whatever.
looking at the answer to this question, okay? I'm looking at the answer to this question, and I'm thinking of the day when they dropped down to, what is it, minus 15, that in order for this question to be right, the temperature would have had to have risen from minus 15 to plus 15. Oh my God, 15, 15, 19. It would have had to have risen to 23 that afternoon in order for this question to be correct. So I don't know what the high was that day. So he's got a different day, a different year.
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be the absolute coldest.
Right.
Um, you probably could have you could probably have something ridiculous like a low of +2 and a high of +7. Something like that.
Right. But I'm saying if it was minus 15 on that day in February 14th, in order for this date to be correct, the temperature would have had to go to a high of at least 23 in order to achieve the mean temperature that I have in front of me. You follow what I'm saying here?
Yeah, all
Yeah.
right.
So that's why I'm questioning this.
My
So we'll put this on hold. The answer he has is 4 in 1918. So I'm not see that's why I'm asking what the high was on the 15 on that minus 15 day, because it would have had to have been at
you
least
know,
23, which if you think about it is probably not impossible under certain circumstances. I got to go back and take a look at this. Okay, here's the bonus question for today. Beijing is hosting the Winter Olympics. The average high temperature in the month of February. If you get it within 5, you get a bronze. If you get it within 3, you get a silver. If you get it within 1, you get a gold.
and I have to figure out the average temperature, not the average high or average low, but the average or the mean temperature.
It says the average high temperature.
Average high temperature. All right. How about I'll say in Beijing, I'll say I'll say plus I'll say +5, which is that's Celsius, which would be 42 Fahrenheit.
You get the boy, you hit it on the nose. You get the gold.
I get the
You
gold.
get the
Okay.
gold. So
Where's my gold bell here? There you go.
yes. So that really is it in a nutshell. We really don't have much else we could talk about. So why don't we save our strength for the next couple of days in case this winds up evolving into something more important, and I can go back and filling out like my 20 dental forms that I have to sign and fill out, and disclaimers,
Yeah.
and authorizations and all this other nonsense that I got to do. So uh, anyway, uh, nothing else going on
So
you
tomorrow
could think
night,
of?
no, tomorrow night 8:30, folks, because yours truly has another one of those. I'm sorry to say, annoying library talks. You and I have to get together because I have a bunch of talks coming up in April and May. So we may have a lot of days where our show may be put off until like 8 or 8:30 in the evening.
Well,
I have to
why don't we say
put them
that
all together here.
if it's April or May, that we could take some of those days off, considering how hard we work. And by the way, the chairman also hit super chat tonight.
Super chat,
Yes, evening
right?
moderators, best weather family on YouTube, all the best. Mother Briller, thank you for all the good wishes. Things are still kind of difficult. I know you're struggling with everything, Scott, but you know, one day at a time, 1 hour at a time. So we wish well, Mother Briller. You're good. We're always thinking about you. Okay, just to let you know, as we are thinking about Mother Rayo and Mother Chaffee and all the moms out there.
Yes. 13 away from 100 likes, Joe. Do you want to stick around until we get to 100,
Well,
or you
you
just want to
know
say the
how
heck with it
well
and
you
just
know how much we love when we get like hit the like people hit the like button, and how much we like going over 100 likes. So if you can take us over 100 likes, you can do that if you like the show, because we want you to be honest. If you like the show, hit the like button, and you can do that. If you can't do that, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel with your Gmail account, so you can get notifications every time Joe and I do the Joe and Joe Weather Show, which is 5 days a week, Sunday through Thursday. We usually take Friday and Saturdays off unless there's a storm coming, and we're usually on at 7:30 Eastern Time, except for Sundays when we come on at 11 a.m. and do a Sunday morning show. So the
yes,
standard invite. We got 5 more to go
we are
for my
four.
board.
I 4 on my board here, so come on, four more people hit that like button,
Yeah, so I
hit
can
the button, hit the thumb,
fill out these
and
forms for when I have to go to Pixley tomorrow and get my teeth cleaned.
and my wife wants to remind everybody, in case you're wondering about what to watch on TV, as of this hour, the Jeopardy College Championships are on. So if you're into Jeopardy and you want to see the college, and I might add, they used to have that. They used to show the college championships at the regular Jeopardy time. Now they're so bereft of any kind of quality TV show on ABC that they said, why don't we just make Jeopardy 8 to 9 o'clock, a primetime show? So for
Well,
the next few nights, if you want to, that's what you can watch.
they're
103.
good. They're
There we go.
they're competing
There we
against
hit
the
it.
Olympics, which apparently nobody is watching. I actually was watching curling this afternoon for a little while. It's very strategic, very exciting.
Yes.
So
Yes.
anyway, that pretty much sums it up. Oh, we've got another super chat hit at the end by Trish Spiraccio. Thank you, Trish. Most appreciated, and she thanks us both. We love having you here, uh, and thank you for hitting the tip jar. So we'll wrap it up.
Thank you.
We'll save our strength to see what's going on. Maybe at this time tomorrow we'll have some more. Maybe it'll be a bit more interesting down the road. We'll see. In the meantime, I'm enjoying the break, to tell you the truth. I just have to finish getting this my app fixed, which supposedly should be fixed at any moment. So have a nice night, folks. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Blah.